What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Unplugged's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Robot Paradise Acoustic Wave, otherwise known as Fanstoys Soundwave, announced some time ago and then re-announced, and now released. I got mine from Nick the Toy Guy. Contact info for him will be in the description. Good dude, does good business. I highly recommend him. That being said, we are going to talk about this guy. I'm not sure how I feel about this guy, to be honest with you. I'm hoping to have a better idea by the end of this review. So, no time like the present, let's get started, and we'll start with accessories. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with all the toy aesthetics. And this is in order to make it have a more G1 toy look. And it's kind of a clever idea. And I think it's somewhat successful. You guys can be the judge because we will show it as best we can. I'm not sure if I'll show all of it, but we'll show as much as we can. And we'll kind of talk about the pieces as we go through. Okay, so let's do that. So you get these leg covers. They go on the side. They hinge up and down. And you have the silver paint accent there. They apply easy enough. I got QC Pass 21, by the way, by tapping into the side of the leg and then there and there. And boom, boom. And you just do that on both sides. You get these silver plates here. Nice sculpted detail and fully coated in paint, so I'm not sure what more you could want. To utilize them, you gotta untab the ankle. I guess it's probably better to do before you put the side piece on. Unclip that piece and hope you don't lose it in the process. And clip these on. And then resecure the ankle. You get two red kneecaps. They're coated in that brilliant Fanstoys metallic red with a little silver accent and some nice sculpted detail. All you gotta do is bend the knee like Daenerys would want you to. Take the knee pad off and insert this back on. I'll be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure what way, but that looks pretty good to me. And I was trying to go in an order that makes sense, but I'm also a simpleton, so I messed that up. You get these plates that go right below the knee, which are some of my favorite details here. Painted nicely with the silver, the gunmetal, it almost looks like, and then the yellow and red, as well as the white finish and nice sculpted detail. To utilize that, just take this down, pop that off, plug that back in, insert that back on, do that times two. You get two shoulder pad replacements. That's with the silver, yellow, and red detailings on there. To access that, flip this up, and you want to pull directly out, and it is not easy, but it is not impossible either, my friends. And then plug that one back in, do that for both sides. Then you also get the G1 toy head, which does bring back those G1 toy feels. The white, once again, is painted. I believe the yellow is painted. The brown and the blue is still that flecked metallic fleck plastic, which does look better than nothing, but isn't great nonetheless. The connection's a little challenging, and I'm not even sure that I'm gonna be able to get it. You're just supposed to push this off and replace it with this by sliding it back on. It's based on these two pegs, but mine is just giving me a ton of grief, so I'm going to try it off camera. You also get a chest shield replacement, but it's really just more translucent plastic with a couple of details on there. And they're not even painted, which they should have been. So, like, I'm not even sure that this is worth showing, but it just swaps in and out from the chest. And then what you're left with is this look. It really does try to do the toy homage and I think it does a decent enough attempt. I think that if I keep this guy, I'll probably use some sort of combination of both looks. But yeah, I mean, I get it. And I think it's cool just how easy it is to add on. Like, you don't have to, like, fully transform them or get a screwdriver. I mean, other than to pry the headpiece off. It's not like it requires a whole ton of assembly. It's pretty user-friendly, right? So I dig that about it. He comes with his shoulder-mounted missile pod. This does extend here, and then you have all of the red done in that same metallic red color that's absolutely beautiful. That'll peg onto this peg on his shoulder and even allow for some articulation, a swivel, and a bit of up and down movement due to the hinge that's inside of the cannon itself. He also comes with his blaster. It extends the handle comes down and even provides a little trigger guard there, which is nice. Or not trigger guard, but trigger itself. And then you can extend the kind of blast as well. Peg on the handle, slot in the palm, typical Masterpiece style, wrap the fingers around. And both of those can be stowed in the back here if you lay them down, you know, kind of in that little compartment, and they form into the backpack when you have them in alt mode. He also comes with the Energon cube maker, and once again, if we were going to go hypertune, why did we not make this pink? You know, the back end of it can come off, so to speak, which will allow you to attach it to the gold chrome. I would do so somewhat at your discretion. It would be a shame to scratch that chrome. You also get Frenzy. Now, it comes with the plastic case covering too, like the tape deck. And then the tape itself looks pretty good. Decent paint with the silvers, blues throughout, and then yellow, red, blue. And I know I did that backwards. And then all of this like die cast, metallic gray or gunmetal gray deco, the metallic red. This is better painted and better looking than the Soundwave itself. This looks fantastic in regards to its deco. And of course it can fit in Soundwave's chest and close up. So look, I haven't looked at the instructions one iota. I'm just gonna wing it because it seems to be pretty self-explanatory. Extend, bring that down, and then extend on a double hinge. The leg here, tons of hollowness there, which is a bummer. And then let's see what we got. It looks like we got a little heel in there. There. So get that out. Might be a little difficult, as mine was. And same on this side. Like I said, double hinge out. And then bring the foot down. And flip the heel out. Extend the waist all the way. Bring the arms out. Flip the hand out. And let's see, what am I doing wrong here? That can't be it, can it? Same for this side. I guess that is it. The shoulders are ugly, Mac. Flip the hand out. And that's if I even have it to transform right. I'll take a look here in a second at the instructions. I just, you know, it's good fun. And then flip the head up. And spin the head around. And there you have Frenzy. So I will make sure I have the transformation correct, and we'll come back and take a look at them. So it looks like I got it right. So let's talk about them. First of all, the deco on this guy is brilliant. It's what I expect with Fanstoys. It looks better than the Soundwave. The head is on a swivel. The face is painted gray with the metallic red for the visor, and then the metallic charcoal or gunmetal gray for the head and all of the body. Metallic red for the red. Metallic paint for the red. Hold on. Excuse me. Et cetera, et cetera. And then we had the paint accents we've already kind of talked about in the lower legs and the metallic gold. Looks fantastic. No waist swivel. That's a bummer. We do get a little bit of a teapot, for better or worse. We have the shoulders. They go up all the way. And you get the 360 around. No bicep swivel. You do get a single hinged elbow that gets you slightly more than 90 degrees. No wrist swivel, but they do hinge in out. Same for the other side. The hips are pinned universals, basically. They get you out for the full Van Damme. It gets you forward and back for the full Monty. There's a thigh swivel. There is a double jointed knee for the full run. And there is an ankle on a ball peg. The ball peg connects to a hinge, which gives you an ankle tilt up, down, and a rocker. Yeah, I don't know. The back, you can see the legs are completely hollow. So I'll tell you, it seems more like an accessory, which is fine. but they're selling, you know, they're also selling it separately, right? For like the box of tapes. And if they all feel this way, that might be a bit of a bummer, but time will tell, of course. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. E for effort, I guess. It's fine. It's painted beautifully, and like the head sculpt and stuff is great. I don't have too much to say about the rest of it, honestly. Frenzy comes with 2 alternate heads, one kind of laughing head and one angry head, for what it's worth, and they just slide out on these ball pegs, or mushroom caps. And of course he comes with his trusty guns. We have metallic silver painted on the body, but then the tips or the barrels are chrome, as are the wings, which is a little weird. I wish it was just all one or the other, but what are you gonna do? So let me show you what they can do. They can tab into his back, as you might expect. He can also hold them by using 1/2 of the kind of tension C here, or circle. 1/2 will fit in his hand, and it works well enough. You get 2 pile drivers for him. Once again, painted with that red metallic that looks beautiful, and that charcoal. Nice sculpted detail down at the bottom and throughout. And they do open and close. And this, I think this, that's what keeps it locked. So it's like, I think I might have even just messed that one up. You push this here and it extends it, and then it's spring loaded, which is cool. Let's see if I can get it collapsed again. And then it collapses again, which is nice. To get those on, collapse the fist and collapse the arm so that it sits out like that. And then you can stick the whole thing inside of your pile driver. And that's how that works. Before we get into the figure, like many Fanstoys figures, he comes mistransformed in the box. I'm not sure if it's a troll at this point or what. But his waist is spun around and it's collapsed inside. It's collapsed at this screw point. So just expand it and spin the waist around. There's also this bit, but I gotta be honest with you. So in the box, it comes like this. And like, I don't know, I think it's supposed to be the other way around, but I think I like having the buttons and stuff on the back. It might hinder articulation a little bit, but I think I prefer that. But the proper way to do it is to spin it here and then sit this back against it. But then you have these white pieces, and I find these to be distracting. I don't like them. I'm going to switch it back this way, but you guys can do whichever way you feel. It doesn't take that much away from the figure, and it's not as clean here, but it's, you know, personal preference, and I bought it so I can do what I want with it. Another section that's mistransformed is another section that I actually prefer, but it's this white tab here. In order to get rid of it, just drop down the knee pad, move this out to the side. It actually will slide up a hair, come out, flip it down, and then you can put it back in and hide that. But I kind of like the way it looks, so I'm going to leave mine out, but that's how you do it. All right, let's take a look at the figure, and we'll start with the head sculpt. Very cartoon accurate. I think it's missing a little bit of that je ne sais quoi intimidating look that the Takara has, in my opinion, but very cartoon accurate for sure. It appears to me that the blue is this like speckled plastic that we've seen like with Lupus. We've seen him use it a time before, and it's good. It's better than nothing, but it's not as good as the painted pieces that gets that classic kind of Fanstoys feel. The head is on a hinged swivel, so the same as before as the Takara, and we have the metallic red visor, which is painted beautifully in typical Fanstoys fashion, whereas the blue leaves a little bit to be desired, in my opinion. But range of motion is great up. You even get a little bit down, ever so slight, but it is there, and you get a swivel. So checks all the big boxes for sure. Moving on to the shoulders, we have ratcheted universals. Get you out to 90 degrees. Ratcheted forward and back for the full 360. Bicep swivel, tight little joint there. Single hinged elbow, however, you get more range with it than you do with most single hinged elbows from this company. The hands, they're on ball pegs. Couple interesting things with the hands. Oh, this red paint around the white looks great as well. And this die cast joint fits in seamlessly. So it's on a ball peg. So you do get a hinge in and out on the wrist, plus you get the swivel. The thumb is on a ball peg, with a secondary knuckle. The fingers have a base pen knuckle and then a secondary knuckle, but instead of doing a third knuckle, they give you like these weird fingers. Like at the very least, at least they fix it for the index finger. So you get the base knuckle, secondary, tertiary, but the rest of them you just get the secondary knuckle. It's not the worst thing in the world because they give you the pointer finger. Like it can kind of be excused. But it is going to take away a few of the options. And I don't mind individually articulated fingers when they are pinned, like Fanstoys typically does. So they're okay. They're better than average, but I think I miss the tertiary knuckle on all of them. All right, same for the other side. Now, the waist, or the torso. We got this clear plastic here. It's not my favorite. They went for this hyper-tune look. They should have done it blue. We have a waist swivel that does untab the backpack to get it that far. If you have the backpack tabbed in, you're going to be limited, but it's still kind of okay. And just a slight untabbing of the backpack gets you over. So I think it's okay. The gold chrome looks fantastic. Once again, I feel like it doesn't know what it wants to be. Whether it wants to be super cartoon accurate, like most of it, or whether it wants to throw in these kind of more sophisticated styles like the gold here and you know, the die cast joints, the brushed kind of nickel look here. We have an ab crunch back, a reverse ab crunch, and a little bit forward, which is nice. That's a step up for Fanstoys. I like it. All right, we have hip skirts galore. So just get them up and out of the way. To expose ratcheted universals, forward and back, tensioned out to the side for the Fanstoys squeak. I'll go ahead and back the camera out a little bit so you can get a wider range, but you get the full Van Damme. You don't get the full Monty. However, if you lift this up, you can kind of get it. It's either way, it's more than you'll ever use for the rear, so to speak. Close this down. We've already talked about the deco there. We have a thigh swivel at the universal. That's a really tight joint, but it works well. We have a single hinge knee, but gets you a wider range than we're used to with most Fanstoys products. So once again, I like the improvement that I see on the articulation on this guy. Also, the white paint looks fantastic. Same for the yellow down here. For the ankles, you get a toe, it's really like a toe tilt down, which acts as the ankle tilt. And then you get a whole ankle rocker that's even connected at this piece here. So it is, even though it's at the toe, it's a proper rocker for the whole ankle, which is nice. And then there it is from the back. You know, pretty clean. All the screw marks are in the back, as we suspect and expect with this company. I'll be honest with you, it's a little fiddly. Like, and it might have to do with some of the joint tolerances, but as you're like moving it around and stuff, but I think it does the job of exactly what they want it to do. Whether or not I'm crazy about that is entirely something else. But I think that they were successful in what they wanted. Size comparison wise, there it is with the Takara, and it stands a little taller than the Takara. So not crazy, but it does. And it has more kind of blocky bulk to it, I feel like, as well. The Takara one's going to be a hard one to beat, man. I'm curious to see how the Versus plays out, because there's things I like about both, but I don't know, man. Hard to say, really, I guess. But time will tell. Until then, though. P.S. These floated around early on, and there's other items like them. This was a custom one done for me by a friend, and he decided not to make them last minute. If you are lucky enough to have one, I was curious if they would fit in this little square part in the back of a Acoustic Wave. They do not, which might make my decision even more easy as to which one I'm keeping on my shelf, to be honest. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is get these hands tucked away. So have him make a fist, which I probably should have done before I started filming. And then bring down this panel, flip the fist up, and then flip this up inside the forearm. And you're going to do the same thing on this side. Untab the backpack, open this section up, flip the head in. If you remember that, I'll get you the 360 around. And then I think you can just go ahead and plug that back in. And then these arms untab, and they're a bit ornery on there, so use some caution there. They're on a double hinge. They'll come back, and you want the tab on the forearm and the kind of back piece to line up and tab in, which is, I got news for you, it ain't the easiest either, but you get the idea. And I'll try to, there. So our next spot to sort out is the pelvis. So untab this back section. You can actually spin this around now. Open this up, open this up, open this up, open this up, and just get that out of the way. This bottom piece here untabs and then moves that whole pelvis piece out. If you open up these hip skirts here on the side, just so you have a clear view at everything, we need to spin just from below, like just the hips. 180. Line everything back up. Take these pieces here and move them out to the side. That was never going to work for me. Now you should be able to collapse it with no problem. And tuck these up. This piece can come back down, plug in, and grab underneath. This piece can straighten and sort of get it ready. And the side panel pieces just sort of square up. You can see how it's kind of going here. Legs are the next stop. All right, then the lower leg. So we're gonna do this section. I've put it back in case you wanted it to look this way. Undo the knees here, bring this piece out, flip this piece over, and then you bring this back up. It's ornery. There. Put it into place. Same on this side. Bring the kneecap out. Bring this piece out. I just got a couple little tight spots. There. There. Good grief. And then flip this up and then collapse that back. And that's how I've had mine, but if you want yours sorted the kind of proper way, that's how you do it. I just kind of like the little white accents there. I don't know. All right, then tuck your knee pads back down, but this time forming like a U back against the leg. So the white section is facing up. Drop these to the side. And we need to untab these little hooks here, which will allow us to rotate our thighs so that the knee is facing the ground, which will kind of give us that classic Soundwave, like, you know, you kind of already know the vibes there. Now we got a little bit of prep work to do. Open up these shoulders here. The same spots that we used to like lift up in order to pull the pieces out to swap out to our G1 look. This section here comes up. There is a flippity flap in here and here. And then this was down against the bottom. Just rotate it to the top. We're gonna do the same on this side. Up, extend, flip out, and then the foot we're going to snap down, spin up, and then collapse back towards the leg so it kind of fits in that little spot there. Same on this side. God bless. It's your home. I want you going to your home. Then we need to kind of bring the thigh back down, bend at the knee. So then when you bring it back up, the only thing you got to be a little cautious of is getting this tab underneath. And getting that lined up, and then I'll show you how to kind of connect everything here in a second. But we're going to do the same thing on this side, so we're going to bring it down, bend at the knee, and make sure that this is angled in. Bring this back up and get it all lined up so we're relatively close. And then it's a matter of getting it all tabbed together. So we got tabs against the bulk of the leg to the body. And then we have this circle piece that tabs in, as well as that tab against the foot that tabs in. And we're gonna repeat that step on this side, along with the circle and the foot. And let's see, okay, getting excited because I'm almost done. We want to make sure that these are lined up, and we want to flip this down on both sides, and then break this connection, and this comes around and plugs in on a double hinge to this side. Same over, you know. And this tabs in basically with this dial here fitting into the foot. And we'll get that over here as well. And then this piece comes down and covers down and tabs into the bottom. This one's giving me a little bit of grief. I got my daughter here wanting to ask me a question. What do you got?
Avery.
Can you go outside? Mm-hmm. Yes. And then flip this piece over and then make sure that all this is squared up. And I mean, that's basically it. I'll get it cleaned up. We'll take a look at it. And there it is. And I mean, it's a square, right? And it's a thick old square. And I can't get these front hip pieces kind of properly in place, which is a little frustrating. But otherwise, I mean, I guess it looks the part. There's a lot of moving pieces in this thing for this not to look, I think, a bit better, in my opinion. But, you know, what do I know? I just feel like it's not that the transformation is super complicated. In fact, for Fanstoys figure, it's pretty straightforward. But for as many elements that there are, you would expect this to look a bit better when it was said and done. The smaller tape portion here pays off in robot mode proportionately, but in alt mode, I think it actually does it in injustice, which is a bit of a shame. But otherwise, I'd say it's fine. I think that the details come through nicely, all the little controls and stuff. It definitely seems more cartoonish, which I think is certainly their impression, or intent, I guess I should say. And there it is next to Tiger Tracks. Final thoughts-wise, we'll start with the negative. I guess my main gripe with this is I wish it had that Fanstoys deco on the blue. The blue looks very plain, especially in comparison to the pearlescent white, the chrome gold, the brushed nickel silvers. It just doesn't match the aesthetics of the rest of the figure. That's obviously subjective, but it's certainly my opinion. Objectively, the tolerances are a little wonky here and there, kind of old school Fanstoys tolerances where we got the squeaks in a couple places, all that kind of stuff. Also where like the shoulders lock into the body and have to be undone for transformation certainly doesn't give you warm and fuzzies. And I think there's an awful lot of the transformation that this piece requires for it ultimately not to look all that great in alt mode. You would just expect it to look a bit better after all the effort that it takes to get there. But I think that all of those can be easily forgiven. What I find less forgiving is Frenzy. I don't think he's extremely well done. I don't think the arms look right. There's a lack of articulation. There's hollowness all through the back of it. And I understand it's just a tape, but I think they could have done better. Maybe if we gave him a few of these flips and flaps the Soundwave had, only to look like a boxy but bumpy tape deck, he would ultimately look more like a finished robot. And the last thing that I want to talk about regarding my criticisms is this is so funny to me, and I'll be interested to see how the versus turns out. But what's funny to me about this is I always took to Fanstoys over to Takara as Takara's game plan kind of changed from a more modern take on the G1 character to a more literal cartoon representation. But as I'm looking at my Takara Soundwave and I'm looking at this, it's almost like they've completely swapped roles, where Fanstoys has now become in line with Takara, with the ultimate sort of cartoon attempt and representation of the character. And juxtaposed against the old school Takara, I find the old school Takara to look a lot more interesting, intimidating, and generally more impressive. Not that that's a criticism against this figure per se, but it's interesting to think about the evolution of the two companies and how they've kind of changed. At least that's what I think I find more interesting about it. That certainly doesn't mean that this figure is without merit, because it does have a lot of great things going for it. For one, the materials feel fantastic. Exactly what you would expect with a Fanstoys product. It's heavy, plastic feels dense, strong, and sturdy. Although I would have preferred a blue paint finish that was more to the Fanstoys standard, the white and yellow paint on this guy does make up for it and does give it the pop that it so desperately needs, and the aesthetic does grow on you a bit as you begin to manipulate it. Also, and I'm not sure if this is because it might be based on one of their more original designs, but this guy has far more articulation to him than what Fanstoys has been doing in the recent period. Wider ranged elbows, wider ranged knees, etc., etc. He comes with far more accessories than we're used to Fanstoys figures coming with, and speaking of those accessories, the integration of the G1 toy aesthetic is really quite thoughtful and user-friendly, and I appreciate not having to take the whole figure apart in order to enjoy both looks. I think that if a G1 cartoon is your goal, you'll be happy with this guy. But while I've always wanted mine to be certainly reminiscent of the G1 cartoon, I've never needed actual literal translations, and I've always preferred Fanstoys because they haven't always gone that direction. Comparing this to the old school glory days of Takara, I think I'm going to be keeping the Takara one on my shelf proper. So you can take that for what you will in regard to making your decision. But if you've always wanted a much more cartoon accurate Soundwave, this is the guy to get. If you're torn on this and you're not sure, my guess is you'll probably be happy with just keeping the Takara, because I was torn on it and I would have been happier just keeping my Takara. Hope that helps. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.